All right, so as many of you have probably already heard, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, basically the people who run the Olympics, are considering banning boxing and weightlifting from the Olympics. And really, this isn't much of a shock to anyone who even remotely follows the Olympics. I certainly don't follow the Olympics even really at all, to be honest. Um, but to anyone who actually understands how this works, this isn't even remotely shocking. The IOC has been filled with leftists for decades, and they have been slowly but surely purging sports they deem as generally masculine, and certainly weightlifting, boxing, and some other sports that they're considering banning definitely fall into that. Weightlifting is certainly considered, generally speaking, as a masculine sport. Certainly, there's women's Olympic weightlifting, and there are many amazing female athletes who compete in that, and lots of men who compete in women's Olympic weightlifting as well. But generally speaking, weightlifting is considered a masculine sport. Boxing, which is another one of the primary ones are also going after right now, is definitely considered a masculine sport. So the Olympic Committee has been slowly but surely purging sports that they deem as masculine, and that's an objective reality. They've been doing this. It's objective that the IOC has always been filled with a bunch of leftists who generally hate, you know, really masculine sports, and that's why they've been purging these things. So this really isn't a shock to anyone. This is more of a as a when than an if they were going to do this. Um, so this wasn't like out of the blue. I mean, this has been on there. This has been in the crosshairs for a while. It's just like I said, it's just when they were going to do it, not if. So I have just an article up here on this. This is from the Guardian. I'll read a few lines from this. Um, first paragraph is weightlifting and boxing are the two problem childs of the Olympic movement and remain at risk of being removed from the 2028 LA Games program. The International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach has warned, or sorry, the International Committee President Thomas Bach has warned. Bach expressed his deepest concerns about weightlifting, which has faced significant doping and governance issues. This is my commentary here. Um, Doping has been doping is a problem in all competitive sports, not just with Olympic weightlifting and boxing, but virtually all Olympic sports and really all sports, high level competitive sports in general, ha- has doping problems. Uh, you are naive to think that a huge portion, if not the majority, of high competitive athletes don't use some sort of PEDs. That's a very naive opinion to have. A huge portion of high level athletes use PEDs. Like I said, even probably the majority of them. The people who get caught doing it are people who are stupid and quite frankly don't know how to hide it, and they don't know how to cycle it to make sure they're not on it or will test positive from it during their competitive season, if you will. But during the off seasons and all that, virtually a very large portion of competitive athletes use PEDs. Now, I'm always having of the opinion that PEDs shouldn't have been made illegal, if you will, in the first place. Athletes should be free to use it or not to use it as they wish, and they just should be totally open about it. But that's just my opinion. But either way, like they're stating here that for boxing and Olympic weightlifting, that PED use and as well as some judging scandals, if you will, um, is the basis of their proposed ban on Olympic weightlifting and boxing, which is just ridiculous because, like I've said, PED use is a problem across the board, not just with Olympic weightlifting. They're just using this as a reason to ban it, right? Because they're not going to come out. At least they're not as bold enough to come out yet and say we just want Olympic weightlifting and boxing gone because it's just too masculine and we don't like it. They're going to find some sort of excuse, like a doping issue or a judging issue, to get rid of it. So moving on here, Buck has expressed his deepest concerns about weightlifting, which has faced significant doping and governance issues. While it's made clear to boxing that it needed to continue making significant reforms following financial problems and judging scandal at the 2016 Rio Games. Now, here is this paragraph, or really it's just a sentence, but this sentence right here really drives the point home here on the ideology of those within the IOC. This makes it very clear. A third spot, modern pentathlon. If you don't know what a pentathlon is, by the way, the pentathlon is a 5-event sport consisting of pistol shooting, running, swimming, horse riding, and fencing. Those are the 5 events. So a third sport, modern pentathlon, was also told to replace horse riding with a more inclusive sport if it wanted to be in the LA Games. I don't know what's inherently exclusive about horse riding, but apparently it's not inclusive enough. Yeah, so that gives you just the idea of the mindset of the IOC, that apparently horse riding isn't inclusive enough. They're more concerned about being inclusive than they are about actual sporting events. It's like I said, this whole thing is not shocking. It was just when it was going to happen, not if. And apparently, now I want to be clear here, Olympic weightlifting and boxing and pentathlon is not currently banned from the Olympics. They're just threatening to do so if they don't fix these problems by 2023. If they don't, fix these problems to the IOC's liking, if you will, then they will be excluded from the 2028 Olympic Games in LA and probably thereafter. So yeah, I mean, this kind of sucks for people who are really big into Olympic weightlifting, particularly for actual high-level Olympic weightlifters who are in or who are pursuing to be in the Olympics. It really sucks for them. That's a lot of work just to be thrown away by a bunch of, let's just be honest, raging leftists in the IOC. So that really sucks for them. For all the kind of more casual Olympic weightlifters out there, I guess you're gonna have to strike Olympic from the title, because assuming that this does get banned in 2023, I guess it's just gonna have to be weightlifting and not Olympic weightlifting. So yeah, like I said, it's not shocking. It was just a matter of time before they at least try to push for this ban, if not ban it outright, along with all other sports they deem as masculine. At some point, the Olympics is just going to be ice skating, curling. I mean, that's basically where they're heading, and that's why the Olympics has, at least over the last few decades, has become increasingly more of a joke. Unfortunately, I mean, there was a time where the Olympics was certainly a big deal, but over the last few decades, it has increasingly become a joke.